A lot of you will find yourselves looking down the barrel of the truth that you are living out the life that somebody else cultivated for you by their influence. I'm not saying that every influence was malicious. Some of them, maybe, but not all of them were malicious. Shout out to the people that were doing the best that they could in your life. You can still love and appreciate their care, and you can still dismiss everything. So today I'm welcoming you to the UnCultured Podcast. I am psyched about this podcast. If I haven't said it already, I'm jazzed up about it because we're here to challenge the status quo of many a thing. I start from this premise: you really should quit your job. And it's not some sort of cliche, right, where we're saying, oh, you really should just have some job and this like should be the dream job and nah, man. In real life, this whole notion that you have to be at the job that you have right now as a way to pay your bills, it's a flawed premise. So I built this show entirely for you to be able to challenge that. In today's episode, we are going to talk about what it means for you to not settle. So if you're seeing this, you've seen the title already, Do Not Settle. And it really comes out kind of like a command, right? Like, do not settle. Like, your life is your life, and you are not meant to settle in that life for anything at all. One of the things that's really interesting about the notion of settling as it pertains to your job is that you are inclined to accept what you have because you already have it. The job that you have right now is based on a version of your life that you thought you had to have probably from the time you were around 18 years old, maybe 20. Somewhere in that realm of high school, college, whatever, like the whole notion of what do you want to do and what do you want to be becomes super preeminent. And so then you spend all your time working through what classes am I interested in? What hobbies do I kind of want to have? What clubs do I want to be involved in? What internships do I want to get so that I can create and craft this version of my career path that I think suits me. Now, I think is wild because that's the perspective of a teenager. I think it's so interesting how we build these lives for 10, 15, 20, 30 years based on the opinion of a teenager. Why? And so when I say things like you should really quit your job, we've got to start from the premise that you chose wrong as a teenager so that we can kind of debunk the myth that what you chose as a child, you must stay in as an adult. That's not so. It's not a requirement. The requirement is for you to challenge every part of your life until you are living a life that you absolutely love. So as it pertains to this idea of settling, let's think about your psychographic as you were as a teenager. Let's start there. At 18 years old, you are boy or girl crazy, or person crazy, I should say. At 18, you're person crazy. You are super focused on what it means to be going through just adolescence and the changes that are happening physically to your body at that time. You are focused on being the cool kid, the cool guy, the cool girl, the cool person on air quotes campus, right? Like whether it's high school or just as you're starting college, you're focused on what does it mean to show off and show up for my peers. You're focused on competition, right? So you're trying to get the best grades. You're trying to perform and outperform everybody around you. And so that forces you into a state of comparison. You are forced into a state of comparison. That's flaw number one. You are already basing all your life decisions and choices on a lens of what is somebody else doing, right? So I'm competing for the highest GPA. I'm competing for the highest status. I'm competing for the highest role. I'm trying to get elected to the student council. I'm trying to get elected prom queen. I am trying to win in the eyes and opinions of my peers at 18 years old. Your choice is influenced by that pressure. Whether or not anybody ever bullied you or said to you, oh, you have to make these choices based on XYZ thing, that was in the back of your mind as an 18-year-old, right? So that's kind of flawed premise number one. Flawed premise number two is you have the influence of those that are taking care of you. At 18 years old, Your mama, your daddy, your auntie, your uncle, your grandma, your grandpa, your cousin, your sister, your brother. Somebody is caring for you in a way that they are clothing you, they are feeding you. And I hope that's been the case in your experience, right? And so that if at that so, they're also suggesting to you, hey, you're good at these things. Here's what you could do or should do. I know in my case, when I was around that age, my parents and my entire familial structure and community were very much around this idea of, oh, you're great at science and math. You should go do that. Go do science and math. That equates to engineer, right? So go be an engineer, Shauna, because you're good at science, you're good at math, and those things together. As a Black female in that era, that was also kind of, we were kind of just coming into our own in those spaces in like a very big way. So that's toward the beginning of the STEM era, if you can kind of recall that. But being a Black female engineer at that time was unheard of, and it was an anomaly. And so then by being an anomaly, being good at math and science, right? It's like, oh, go be an engineer, go be great. Influence, right? Again, you have to not think of yourself as a, 25, 35, 45-year-old. Think about 18, 16, 12 even. What does that mean to have somebody's opinion that you care about? You love and you care about them, and they love and care about you. It's not like they're giving you horrible advice. They're not, telling you to go to get addicted to drugs or nothing. They're trying to give you direction, as they should. So we're not condemning, we're just noting that that person's influence into your life, it got in there, right? So at 18, 16 to 18 years old, we're talking about the impressions of your peers and kind of how you have that built-in competition from that age group. And then we're talking about the impressions and infusions from the people that are charged with caring for you. The other thing that comes up as a built-in influence is like, what is the world at large doing? So we've got this like super microcosmic kind of influence. We've got this, familial influence. And then we've got this kind of community wide thing. What is the expectation of me from 16 to 18 years old in my community and the world at large, depending on the time that I'm living in at that time? So you've got to reflect on that for yourself. Like, when you were growing up, what did it mean for you to be, in my case, a Black female that was good at math and science? At that time, there were not a ton of Black women doing engineering. And so then I became an anomaly. So communally, the pressure, air quotes, or influence was, go be that. Go be this uncommon thing. Go show up for us. Go shine for us, kind of a thing. So what were those things that came to influence you that way? And some of them are, just flat out cultural. Some of them are racial. Some of them are communal. Some of them, your neighborhood. The expectation is that you don't go to college, or you definitely do go to college, and not just any college, an Ivy League college, whether you want to or not. All of those things are influences, and there's no way around that. And I hope that you are going to take a minute and earnestly consider it. And the reason why we have to start with the premise of, first, transporting yourself back to being 16 to 18 and thinking about, man, what were my friends all thinking about? What was I competing for in my, high school, college circle? What was I competing for? Once I got to college, well, really, once I got back to college after I took a really long break, I was competing for the top spot. It didn't matter whether I really wanted it or not. There was a built-in air of competition. The best students got the best job offers. They got the best grants. They got the best grad school offers. They got the best, the best, the best. So then I wanted the best. So when I came back, I started competing for the top seat so that I could have the best. Was that in my best interest? I never stopped to think about it. And most of us don't. At that age, we're not thinking, hey, is this what's best for me? I'm so psyched about the generation that's coming up now, man. They're challenging everything. I love that for them. So the rest of us got some work to do in real life. We're needing to sit and consider in very much that same way, where we give ourselves permission to think about, what was I competing for? And does that value still stand right now for me today? And it's not a one-time process. This is something you're gonna have to think about. And as more things come up for you, reconsider your reconsideration. So what were you competing for in that time? 16 to 18 years old, what were you competing for? Then the other thing is what were your family values like? Now, the beauty of growing up is that you get to grow up with your own opinion, right? And insight. So as you're kind of getting into your 30s, your 40s, and older, you can look back at your familial history and decide, man, does that familial history represent what I want to be known for and the principles that I want to be led by? And that's just like a whole thought unto itself, isn't it? Like, you get raised by people who are just people, just trying to do the best that they possibly can with what they have at the time. And then at some point, maybe you realize that the way that they did it, their version of coming into their own, you don't like it. And that's cool for you to be able to see that as you are growing up, as you are coming into your own version of what it means for you to live and exist and be whole and healthy and happy, which is my thing. My tagline is keeping it happy, healthy, and whole is the goal. That's my tagline. So as you're coming into your own version of that, it's like, did my mom suffer from mental illness? Did she suffer from depression? Did she suffer from anxiety? And while maybe I was 11 or 12, I didn't get that at that time. Now that I'm 21, 31, 41, can I look back and retrospectively see it? And if I can now see it, do I think everything that she taught and or said and or influenced is in fact relevant for me right now today as I am coming into my own and becoming my own version of who I am? Same thing works for the community and like the kind of at large influential things. What was going on in that time? Where was your community kind of steeped? What were the challenges that were inside your community? And did they affect the way that people taught you and talked to you? And if you can challenge that where that was then, and then juxtapose it to where you see yourself and your community now, do those principles still stand today? Do they still apply? Now, all of this is kind of about you. And at the end of the day, no matter what is happening in your job, you go first. High level, you do not build you around the job. The job is meant to fit you. So leading with authenticity is kind of the most important thing. And that's something that, at some point we'll get into that. But today, the point is when I say do not settle, I mean those influences have colored how you see yourself and your possibilities, period. How have they colored those things? How have those things that you were competing for at 16 to 18 years old, how have the influences from your family, how have those communal and like societal level influences, how have they colored who you are today? And here's the vibe. The choice that you made at 16 to 18 years old for the career or the job that you chose, that choice, does it still apply based on you challenging those three areas of your existence and kind of coming up to juxtapose them from then to now? 18-year-old you, 20-year-old you, 24-year-old you even made the best choice that you could with what you had at the time. What we're saying now is anything less than challenging the career path that you're on at this moment, right now, based on who you are right now and what's important to you right now versus what was important to you and influencing you then. Anything less than challenging that and being honest about what is coming up for you in that is settling. Anything less is settling. So here we are. We are in this posture where it's desperately important for you to look at what has influenced you to this point in your life. And once you realize that, in some cases, what you might realize is that the job that you chose it because it's your mother's dream. The job that you picked initially as an 18-year-old is your dad's dream. And maybe it's a dream for you, or it's a dream that they wish they could have pursued on their own. But it's not until you look at those familial influences to identify that now that you're here that you'll know for sure. So if you haven't switched career paths, and if you've just been working to get promoted in the career that you've already chosen, this is 100% for you. If you are just getting started in a new career path and it was a jettison out of an old direction, this is also for you. If you have been in the same job for however long, at the same company for however long, this is 100% for you. And if you do yourself a disservice, if you do not go into depth to understand how the influences of your history have colored the choices that you've made, how long you stayed, how much you've been willing to endure. If you have witnessed someone in a career path that they maybe didn't love, that came home every day and complained to you or around you about the job that they hated, that then makes it normal. And once that becomes normal in your influenced life, it becomes normal in your lived experience as you go forward. You start to get the impression, oh, I don't need to like my job. Daddy didn't like his job. He complained every day about his job. Nobody likes their job. Oh, yeah, overworking is totally cool. My mother used to come home completely tired from her job every single day and be like flustered and at the top of her capacity and have no margin. And all that's normalized by the examples and the influences. But it's not until you stop to really take inventory and check and see what has been influencing you do you really realize just how much it has been. So I challenge you today to really consider it. Not for me, for you. Not for your company, for you. Not because you are still trying to get promoted just to win the competition at the job that you are in, at the company that you're in. Not because you think you have to sit and suffer through any and everything just to keep a job. You deserve to live a life that you absolutely love. That means you get to challenge everything until you wake up every day loving the life that you are living. That is the bottom line of it all. And until you start with this challenging in these three spheres, you're going to be settling. Now, for some of you, the challenging will lead you back to the conclusion. I am living in things that align with who I am right now. I am living in the job and the career path that feels super suitable and aligned for me. But a lot of you won't. A lot of you will find yourselves looking down the barrel of the truth that you are living out the life that somebody else cultivated for you by their influence. Again, I'm not saying that every influence was malicious. Some of them, maybe, but not all of them, right? Not all of them were malicious. And so for the ones that were not malicious and that were just guiding, shout out to the people that were doing the best that they could in your life. And you can still love and appreciate their care that they gave you, and you can still dismiss everything that you no longer need, if that makes sense. You don't have to continue holding everything that they gave you just because we're acknowledging that they did the best they could. They did the best they could. Now, what's best for you based on where you are now? So I'm hoping that you are going to challenge everything in your space, because ultimately, the only way to change everything is to challenge everything. I hope that you are willing and bold enough and daring enough to take advantage of the opportunity that you have to make a true and lasting difference in the direction and trajectory of your career. Your career is your career. You have time. Imagine what you could change in 1 year if you just gave yourself over to the process of challenging everything. Hey, thanks for tuning into the UnCultured Podcast. I've been your host, Shauna K. Henson, lifestyle design coach, goal strategist, and corporate culture consultant. If this is your first time here, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with somebody you know. If you're coming back for more, thanks so much for being here, and I hope that you'll tune in again. No matter what you're doing in your life, remember to make intentional choices, and wherever you are starting, remember that's not where you have to finish. Your life is yours alone, and your next dream is only one goal strategy away from getting exactly what you desire.